I'm going to give you my first impressions of all of the new Fresh Season stuff, but first, people were asking how I got on top of this lamppost for that video, so I'm going to show you that first. Kraken has a lot of interactions to lab out, but right now it's looking way better against weapons with low fire rates that can't just keep shooting at it. It can adjust its aim on the charge right up until it actually dashes, so it's actually pretty intuitive to hit someone with. It can definitely catch some people. I'd call it pretty healthy if it weren't for the fact that short-range shooters counterplay it better than any other weapon. They don't need more advantages as a weapon class. Super Chump covers a lot of ground, but each bomb has so little health that it should almost never actually do damage to you. And even if it does, it's going to do 35 max. You need to get hit by 3 of these things to get splatted unless you're damaged already. So just shoot them. If every member of your team were to shoot about 3, the special does 0 points of damage and barely paints anything. A coordinated team has too much counterplay for it to be worth running over strikes or missiles or booyah. Manta is mostly okay. Not a fan of removing the left flank. In Splatoon 2, there were more modes that had a block right here that let you go over at the top as the attacking side. On some modes where they've taken that out, the defending team just kind of owns their right side, so this area, for free, and that's going to reduce pushing options. One thing I really don't like is that they added these stair steps right here. So, like, this area right here up until the ledge here, and this block, they're not there in any other mode. And I cannot, for the life of me, think about why they would be in here. Because, like, look at what this lets you do. If I just paint this wall, squid roll back, I'm in their base. This is a much easier spawn camp. On the other modes, because the ledge is back to here, there's no way that you can get around and get on this wall to do that. You have to, like, drop all the way down, paint all the way up, climb up like this. It's a lot more dangerous. But from here, you don't even have to touch the ground. It's just bloop. And if you don't screw it up like I did, you're right up here. So if you are the attacking team and you get a wipe near the basket, you're just immediately going to have like 2 or 3 members spawn camping the enemy team. Like, you can set up on this map, like over here and right side peek this, or you could get someone over here and now they're behind the wall and you may not be able to see them, get like a roller up there or something. Like, this is really not great.
When the splash scores after they wipe you, and the splash does this. Ah. Ooh. So I like the other changes to the map is what I meant to say.
From the perspective of competitive fairness, Umami is pretty bad. It's extremely attacking team favored. So let's look at the spawn area over here. So you roll out from here, and you've got 2 options. You can either drop left into this pit, or you can go right down this ramp. Now, this ramp is a really big choke point. It's very, very narrow. It's very visible. There's not a lot of cover. Yes, you can drop down from here, but then you don't have a way back. And so you have to either drop down to the left or just, like, be out here in the open. So that's not really improving things much. You can go out here, I guess, but there's just going to be someone down here to shoot at you, probably. So, yeah, like, this... From behind maybe, like, this piece of cover, anything with, like, mid-range can cover any of the options that the opponents have, except for dropping into the pit here. And let's talk about this pit, because this pit sucks. Like, as the defending team trying to move out into mid from here, this is not a flank route. Like, all you need on the attacking team is to have one person who's standing guard over here on the right. It's like, okay, well, at least they need to devote a player to that. Well, here's the thing, right? Let's say you're an E-leader. You can hit everything down here. You can, in fact, hit people before they even drop. But look at what else you can hit. The only part of this this rollout area that the E-leader can't hit is anything that's behind this little pillow. This is all you have against the E-leader who's in that position. Like, you've got to just devote a special to that spot before you can get out of here. And then you've got to fight your way through here, and you've got to get control of this dome. And it's only once you've got control of this dome that you can really stop them from scoring again. It's too skinny. There aren't enough flank routes. The one route they tried to give you to flank is really bad. So in mid, I really don't like that these walls aren't paintable on the side, because the only ways up are here on this end, and on the very end where you paint it, so like right here. And if you go to the left, you can, once you go past this corner, you can't get up into mid until you're all the way over here. That's the only way up. So going left around this side is really, really bad. There's no cover between here and the edge of the map over here up until you get to this block. But, like, look at what the opponents have on the other side here. So as they're pushing up to the right, they've got this block they can use. They can kind of use this area and, like, right side peek around this and whatever. They can get down here and duck underneath this, like so. They can get up here and right side peek this. They can hop over the top of this or something. And you cannot climb this. You can only go up over this block. So this area right here is like a huge dead zone for your team. So teams are going to like cycle around it from the right here. And then the other team is going to cycle around it from their right side here. So even though it looks like you have multiple options, realistically, you probably don't want to be putting someone on the left too often. And it's going to be very linear. Another couple of things I'm not a huge fan of about this, which we'll talk about in the other modes. So on Rainmaker, you know, first checkpoint, and fine, reasonable place for it to be. But look at this jump that you can do. You can make it from here all the way up to here. And then, first of all, that's 37. And that's literally just one jump from the Rainmaker pedestal. So this is a lot like the Hagglefish jump. But at least with the Hagglefish jump, the route to get to the Rainmaker pedestal after that is all open ground and very unsafe. But here, if you make it to this wall, you're totally safe right here from anyone trying to come out of spawn. Then you just hop up over here. We're already at 18. And we've got a lot of, like a really hard angle for them to hit. And then we can just use the goal for cover. There's very little, like, unsafe space once you can get this far forward. And, like, once you get to about here, this is, like, a huge, huge risk of knockout. A lot of people are going to get baited for some reason, I just know it, into going right over here. This route is awful. You don't have to take this. You shouldn't take this. This is going to be so much slower than going to the left. It's not going to give you any cover, so it's not going to be any safer. You can't go squid form. You can't hide. There's this little block here, but going over to the left, you've got way more options for cover with this whole business right here, keeping you safe. Like, when you're lodged in this corner and you have even one teammate with you, anyone who's trying to go after you is just going to get shot in the back. And then you just hop over here and you dunk it. So, again, it's another one of those maps where they give you two choices, and one of them is just god-awful, and you should, like, almost never go. I haven't played this in Rainmaker yet, but looking at this, I'm like, this route is bait. This route cannot have any redeeming qualities to it, from what I'm seeing there. The one other thing that I really don't like about it comes from Clam Blitz. The Clam Blitz layout here has one thing that I really don't like about it. I like most of it more than the other modes. I like where the basket is placed. I think that's a reasonable position for it. This gives you, a lot of defensive options. One thing that this does do is it makes dropping out left suck less, because if you're the attacking team, you're trying to score at the basket over here, eventually you're going to run out of clams. And then when you need to get more clams, where you're going to go is you're going to back up and come back into mid. And this is what the left side flank is really good for, because they can come up here directly behind you while you're scoring and shoot you in the back and, like, cut off this option. So you can't back up into mid, and you're going to have to fight your way back away from their basket. So that is one extra advantage that you have coming from the left, that the opponents are going to be specifically looking away from you, and they're going to have to back up. Because it's not as big of a deal in Tower or Rainmaker that they're, like, looking away from this direction, because this is where they have to go anyway. They just have to swim away from you. So, like, if you try dropping left and the Tower, or especially the Rainmaker, is already past you, you're just gonna, like, keep swimming and keep having to chase them until they're, like, most of the way to KOing anyway. And so you're not gonna do any good that way. But with with Clam Blitz, you can actually cut that off by just getting in here and painting this up. The thing I really don't like about Clam Blitz, though, is this block right here. Because, yes, I think it is wise that only this backside of the block is painted if it's going to be here. But, like, you can just bypass this big choke point here and get power clams in from this angle. And, like, if you score a power clam from here, look at this vantage point this gives you. How does the enemy team get out? Imagine I put a crab tank here. Crab tank sees everything over there. Crab tank sees everything over here. Nothing is safe from the crab tank if it's up here. And in the other modes, it's not as easy to get up there. In the other modes, you have to swim, like, all the way around, turn your back to the enemy team, and then get back around and, look like this. Or maybe there's some, like, fancy squid roll you can do. Not even from there. Yeah, you do have to get all the way up there to be able to get onto this dome. But since there's a much safer way to get up on top of that dome, where it's a lot harder to contest you, and then you can just pop a really powerful zoning special right here, I do not like this block. I don't think that that's good for the game mode at all. I hope that they remove that at some point. Overall, I'm really disappointed that they did so little about Crab. It remains to be seen if those, buffs to Inkjet and Trizuka and Ultra Stamp, it remains to be seen if those really do a good job of countering it. But I don't like that it's specifically, just those three specials that we now have as an answer to it. I'd rather they have just taken the Crab Tank down a peg, or, like, made some maps that are big enough that the Crab Tank isn't really going to be as much of a problem, rather than sticking to their guns and, making another Eel Tail Alley out of Umami Ruins. It's like a smaller Eel Tail Alley. I think, for competitive play, there's going to be a lot to learn, but I don't think Double Crab is going anywhere. And that makes me sad, because I think that there are a lot of weapons that are a lot more interesting to see outside of that meta. Even in Idle 2, where they hadn't explicitly banned the Crab Tank, you just couldn't run two shooters, and so you couldn't run two of them. I think that was even then a much wider variety of weapons that were on display. And the fact that the game isn't going to be like that now, we're not going to get major Crab Tank nerfs for another little while. Not super happy with it. But a lot remains to be seen. A lot of Splatoon remains to be played. So we'll see how the new meta develops. Should be seeing a good number of 96s and Chargers at least. There's probably a niche for the Splash. Really excited for the Tri-Slosher. I think Tri-Slosher mains are going to really do well with that thing. Super happy for them. And the Rapid Blaster's a lot of fun, because I get to play Inkjet again, And the rapid and torpedo combo is really fun, even though that's not really my main weapon class or anything like that. Nothing that I would normally play on a competitive team. So overall, I wish they'd changed a little bit more. Wish that the stage design philosophy had gone a lot differently than it did. But we have new Splatoon now, and I'm not going to complain too much about that.